The hospital had been empty for 3 years when I took the job. St. Jerome's Medical Center closed after the state pulled its license over administrative violations nobody would detail. The building sat on 42 acres at the edge of town, red brick and institutional white trim, 6 stories of dark windows facing the county road. I drove past it twice before finding the service entrance where Marcus told me to meet him. I needed the money. My daughter's tuition payment was due in 6 weeks, and the cannery had let me go in August. Night security paid $18 an hour, cash weekly, no questions about the 3-month gap in my resume. Marcus said the work was simple. Walk the perimeter, check the doors, make sure nobody broke in to steal copper wire or whatever else they could pry loose before the demolition company started work in spring. He was waiting in a white pickup truck, engine running, wipers going against October drizzle. "You're Rachel," he said through the window. "That's me. Got your ID?" I showed him my driver's license. He squinted at it, handed it back, killed the engine. We walked to a metal door beside the loading dock. He had a ring with 23 keys. I counted them while he sorted through, looking for the right one. "You'll get your own set tonight," he said. "But I'm walking you through everything first. Owner wants things done a specific way." The door opened into a corridor that smelled like industrial cleaner and something else underneath, something organic and stale. Marcus flicked a switch. Fluorescent lights stuttered on overhead, casting everything in cold white. Green linoleum ran the length of the hallway, door frames on both sides, most doors removed, leaving dark rectangular gaps into rooms beyond. We walked. "Deliveries used to come through here," Marcus said. "Laundry, food service, medical supplies, you won't need to come this far in most nights. Your job is exterior rounds mostly, but you need to know the layout." He showed me the loading dock office, which would be my station. A metal desk, a rolling chair with a cracked vinyl seat, a space heater that clanked when he plugged it in. A logbook sat on the desk, its pages filled with tight handwriting in blue ink. A radio charger occupied the corner of the desk, the red light already glowing. "You'll check in every 2 hours on Channel 9, Marcus said. "Dispatch will answer. Just say your name and location. They'll confirm." "Who's dispatch?" "Security company the owner contracted. They monitor 5 properties in the county." He picked up a ring of keys from the desk drawer and handed them to me. 23 keys, each one labeled. You'll need maybe 7 for your regular route. The rest are for interior doors, but you won't go inside except in emergencies." "What kind of emergencies?" "Break-in, fire alarm, anything that triggers the panel." He pointed to a gray box mounted beside the door, its surface covered in tiny lights, all currently green. "Panels linked to the security company. If something trips, they'll radio you. You respond and report what you find." I looked at the logbook while he talked. The previous guard's entries were short and procedural. Dates, times, brief notes. "Perimeter clear, all doors secure, north fence intact." Every entry ended with a signature. "How long was the last guard here?" I asked. 4 months. He took a job closer to home." Marcus pulled a folded paper from his jacket pocket and set it on the desk. "These are the rules," he said. "The owner is particular about them. You follow these, you'll be fine." I unfolded the paper. Typed text, single-spaced, numbered 1 through 12. "Read through them now," Marcus said. "Ask questions if you need to." I read. Security Protocols, St. Jerome's Medical Center. 1. Arrive no earlier than 9:45 p.m. and no later than 10 p.m. Lock the service entrance behind you immediately upon entry. 2. Conduct your first perimeter check at 10:30 p.m. Walk clockwise starting from the service entrance. Stay 15 feet from the building at all times during exterior rounds. 3. Do not enter the main building through any door except the service entrance unless responding to an alarm. 4. Between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., if you hear knocking on any door, do not investigate the source. Note the time and location in the logbook only. 5. The third-floor windows will sometimes show light. This is an electrical fault. Do not enter the building to investigate unless the alarm panel indicates a breach. 6. If you encounter another person on the property between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., ask them to state their business. If they do not answer within 5 seconds, return to the loading dock office and radio dispatch immediately. Do not pursue or engage further. 7. Do not use the north stairwell for any reason. This stairwell is structurally unsound and locked. If you find the north stairwell door open, close it, but do not lock it. Radio dispatch. 8. Conduct perimeter checks at 10:30 p.m., 12:30 a.m., 2:30 a.m., and 4:30 a.m. Radio dispatch at the completion of each check. 9. The ambulance bay doors will sometimes rattle. This is wind pressure. Do not approach the ambulance bay between midnight and 3 a.m. 10. If you see a figure in a white coat walking the second-floor corridor visible through the west side windows, do not acknowledge it. Continue your perimeter check. Note the time in the logbook. 11. Keep all interior lights off except in the loading dock office. If you find interior lights on during your perimeter check, note the location and time in the logbook. Do not enter to turn them off. 12. Depart the property no earlier than 6 a.m. and no later than 6:15 a.m. Ensure the service entrance is locked before you leave. I read through them twice. Some of these are strange, I said. Marcus shrugged. Building's been sitting empty. Electrical systems half shot. Plumbing's drained, but sometimes you get pressure shifts. Owner doesn't want to pay for repairs until the demo crew comes. Easier to just note everything and stay out of the way. What about number 10? The figure in the white coat? Reflections, probably. Windows are old. You get weird light bounces at night, especially with the street lights from the county road. He checked his watch. It's 9:50 now. I'm going to walk you through your first perimeter check, then I'm heading out. You'll be on your own after that. We went outside. The rain had stopped, but the air was heavy and cold. Marcus led me clockwise around the building, pointing out landmarks. The service entrance. The main lobby doors, chained and padlocked. The emergency room entrance, same condition. The ambulance bay with its 2 rolling doors, both closed and locked with heavy chains. 15 feet, Marcus reminded me. Don't get closer than that. The building loomed over us, dark and silent. Most windows were intact, reflecting the scattered light from the parking lot lamps. A few were broken, covered from the inside with plywood. The third floor showed nothing but darkness. We completed the loop in 11 minutes. Back at the loading dock office, Marcus showed me the radio. A handheld unit already charged, clipped to the charger base. He keyed the transmit button. Dispatch, this is Marcus at St. Jerome's, radio check. Static, then a woman's voice, flat and professional. Copy, Marcus, signal clear. I'm signing off. New guard Rachel starts tonight. She'll check in at 10:30. Copy. Welcome, Rachel. Marcus clipped the radio back and handed me the logbook. Write your entries like the ones before. Date, time, what you observed, sign each one. Keep it simple. He put his jacket back on. You'll do fine, he said. Just follow the rules. Don't overthink it. What if something happens that isn't covered in the rules? Radio dispatch, they'll advise. He paused at the door. One more thing. Sometimes the building makes noise. Settling wind, animals in the walls. You'll get used to it. Don't let it spook you. He left. I locked the door behind him and sat at the desk. The space heater clanked. The fluorescent lights hummed. I opened the logbook and wrote my first entry. October 14th, 9:57 p.m. Shift start. Perimeter walkthrough with Marcus completed. All exterior doors secure. Rachel Hensley. I set a timer on my phone for 10:25 and tried to settle in. The loading dock office was small, maybe 10 feet by 12. One window looked out onto the loading dock itself, a concrete platform under a corrugated metal awning. Beyond that, the parking lot stretched into darkness. The nearest streetlight was 100 yards away. I could see my truck from here, parked next to where Marcus had been. The logbook entries from previous guards went back 4 months, like Marcus said. Before that, different handwriting, someone named Dennis. His entries were longer, more detailed. He'd noted temperatures, weather conditions, even wildlife. A possum near dumpster enclosure moved along when approached. The current guard's entries were sparse by comparison, functional, no personality. I wondered why he'd left. My phone timer went off at 10:25. I put on my jacket, took the radio and flashlight from the desk and stepped outside. The air had gotten colder. I could see my breath. The parking lot lights cast long shadows across cracked asphalt. I walked 15 feet from the building and started clockwise, like Marcus showed me. The main lobby doors were still chained. I checked the padlock. Secure. I walked. My footsteps sounded too loud. The building was completely silent, not even wind through broken windows. I passed darkened ground floor windows, seeing nothing inside but black. The emergency room entrance was chained. The ambulance bay doors were closed tight. I kept walking. At the west side, I looked up at the second floor windows. 18 windows, each maybe 4 feet wide, stretching along the length of the building. All dark. I counted them while I walked. Behind me, the county road ran past, empty this time of night. The back of the building faced a tree line, maybe 50 yards of dead grass and gravel between the structure and the woods. Service road back here unused. 2 dumpsters, both empty. I walked the perimeter, checking doors. One marked maintenance, padlocked. One marked boiler access, also locked. I completed the circuit and returned to the loading dock. 11 minutes, same as with Marcus. Inside, I logged the check. 10:42 p.m. Perimeter check complete. All doors secure, no activity observed. RHI radio dispatch. Dispatch, this is Rachel at St. Jerome's. First perimeter check complete. Copy, Rachel. Next check at 12:30 a.m. I settled in to wait. The space heater ticked. I scrolled through my phone, reading news I'd already seen. My daughter had texted earlier, asking how the new job was going. I told her it was fine, quiet, easy money. At 11:30, I heard the first knock. 3 sharp raps, wood on wood, from somewhere down the corridor behind me. I went still. The knock came again. 3 more raps, deliberate and evenly spaced. I looked at the rules. Number 4. Between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m., if you hear knocking on any door, do not investigate the source. Note the time and location in the logbook only. I wrote it down. 11:31 p.m. Knocking heard from interior corridor. 3 raps. Did not investigate per protocol. RH. The knocking stopped. I sat there listening. The space heater clanked. The fluorescent lights hummed. Nothing else. At 12:25, I went out for my second perimeter check. The temperature had dropped further. Frost was forming on the grass. My breath plumed in the glow of my flashlight. I walked clockwise, 15 feet from the building, checking doors. Everything was secure. But when I reached the west side and looked up at the second floor windows, one of them showed light. Not bright, a dim yellowish glow like a lamp on a low setting. It was the 7th window from the south end. I stopped and stared at it. The light didn't move, didn't flicker, just a steady, dull glow. I remembered Rule 5. The 3rd floor windows will sometimes show light. This is an electrical fault. Do not enter the building to investigate unless the alarm panel indicates a breach. But this was the 2nd floor. I stood there, uncertain. The rule said third floor. Did that mean second floor lights were something I should investigate? Or was it a typo? I radioed dispatch. Dispatch Rachel at St. Jerome's. I have a question about the protocols. Go ahead, Rachel. Rule 5 says third floor windows might show light due to electrical fault. I'm seeing a light on the second floor west side. Should I investigate? A pause, longer than I expected. Negative, Rachel. Do not investigate. Note it in your log and continue your perimeter check. Copy. I wrote it down when I got back to the office. 12:38 a.m. Light observed in second floor window west side 7th window from south end. Did not investigate per dispatch guidance. RH. The rest of the night passed slowly. At 2:28 a.m. I started my third perimeter check. The light in the second floor window was gone. Everything was dark again. I completed the circuit, logged it, radioed dispatch. At 4:28 a.m., I did my final check. The sky was still black, but I could feel dawn coming, that subtle shift in the air. My legs ached from walking. My hands were numb from the cold, all doors secure, no lights, no movement. I logged it and waited for 6 a.m. When my phone showed 6:02, I packed up, locked the office, and walked to my truck. The eastern sky was turning gray. I could see the building clearly now in the pre-dawn light. 6 stories of brick and broken windows surrounded by chain-link fence and empty parking lots. I drove home and slept until noon. The second night was the same. I arrived at 9:55, locked the service entrance, logged my arrival. Conducted my first perimeter check at 10:30. At 11:40 I heard knocking again. Same pattern. 3 raps from somewhere in the interior corridors. I logged it and didn't investigate. At 12:30 during my second perimeter check, the light was back in the second floor window. Same window as before. 7th from the south end west side. I radioed dispatch. Same light as last night, second floor west side. Copy, Rachel, continue your check. The light stayed on until my 2:30 check, then it was gone. By the end of the first week I had the rhythm down. Arrive, lock up, perimeter checks every 2 hours, log everything, radio dispatch, ignore the knocking, ignore the light, stay 15 feet from the building. The work was boring, which was fine. Boring meant nothing happened. Boring meant I got paid. On my 8th night Friday, something changed. I was completing my 10:30 perimeter check when I saw the figure. It was in the second floor corridor, visible through the west side windows. A person in a white coat, walking slowly from left to right across my field of vision. The figure moved past 4 windows before disappearing into darkness. I stopped walking. Rule 10. If you see a figure in a white coat walking the second floor corridor visible through the west side windows, do not acknowledge it. Continue your perimeter check. Note the time in the logbook. I forced myself to keep walking. Completed the circuit. Logged the entry. 10:47 p.m. Figure in white coat observed in second floor corridor west side moving south to north. Did not acknowledge per protocol. RHI radioed dispatch at 10:50. Dispatch Rachel, perimeter check complete. Observed figure in white coat on second floor per Rule 10. Copy, Rachel. Did you acknowledge or investigate? Negative. Continued perimeter check as instructed. Good. Next check at 12:30 a.m. I sat at the desk trying to rationalize what I'd seen. Reflections, Marcus had said. Light bounces from the county road. But the figure had been distinct, a person-shaped silhouette, moving with purpose, wearing something white and long like a doctor's coat. Maybe someone had broken in, but the alarm panel showed all green, no breaches. At midnight, the knocking started. 3 raps, then silence, then 3 more raps from a different location. This pattern continued for 7 minutes. I counted the sequences, 5 different locations, each one deeper in the building than the last. I logged it all. During my 12:30 perimeter check, I saw the figure again. Same white coat, same corridor, moving in the opposite direction this time. Right to left, south to north. I didn't acknowledge it, kept walking. But my hands were shaking when I got back to the office. I texted my daughter at 1 a.m. just to feel connected to something normal. She was asleep, didn't respond. The 2:30 check was clear. No figure, no lights, just darkness and cold. At 4:30, during my final check, I found the north stairwell door open. It was on the east side of the building, a metal door marked Stairs N in faded yellow letters. I'd walked past it 28 times over 8 nights. It had always been closed. Now it stood open maybe 18 inches, showing darkness beyond. Rule 7. Do not use the north stairwell for any reason. This stairwell is structurally unsound and locked. If you find the north stairwell door open, close it, but do not lock it. Radio dispatch. I approached slowly, staying 15 feet away until I was directly opposite the door. I couldn't see anything inside. Just black. I moved closer, 10 feet, 5 feet. I reached out and pulled the door closed. The hinges creaked. The metal was cold under my palm. I stepped back to 15 feet and radioed dispatch. Dispatch, Rachel. North stairwell door was found open during 4:30 perimeter check. I closed it per protocol but did not lock it. A copy, Rachel. Was there any indication of forced entry? Negative. Door appeared to open from the inside. Another pause. Continue your shift as normal, Rachel. Noted in the log. Copy. I logged it. 4:36 a.m. North stairwell door found open, closed per protocol. No signs of forced entry. Radio dispatch. RH. The rest of the shift passed without incident. I left at 6:05, drove home, and didn't sleep well. On Monday of my 3rd week, I found the amendments. They were in the desk drawer underneath a box of pens, a single sheet of paper printed on the same kind of stock as the original rules. Typed text, numbered 13 through 18. I don't know how long they'd been there. I'd opened that drawer a dozen times, but I'd never moved the pen box. The amendments were dated 3 weeks before I started, the day after the previous guard left. Protocol amendments. St. Jerome's Medical Center, 13. If you hear your name called from inside the building, do not respond. Do not approach any door or window. Continue your current task. The building does not know your name. 14. During perimeter checks, count the windows on each side of the building. The west side has 18 windows on the 2nd floor. If you count a different number, return to the loading dock office immediately and radio dispatch. Do not complete the perimeter check. 15. If the light in the 2nd floor window, west side 7th from the south end, is green instead of yellow, leave the property immediately. Drive 1 mile south on the county road and park. Call the dispatch number on your phone. Do not return until dispatch clears you. 16. Do not bring food into the building. Do not eat or drink anything except water while on the property. If you find food items in the loading dock office that you did not bring, do not touch them. Radio dispatch. 17. The ambulance bay doors will rattle between midnight and 3 a.m. If they rattle at any other time, note the time in the logbook and increase the interval between you and the building to 30 feet during your next perimeter check. 18. If you complete a perimeter check in under 10 minutes, you have taken a wrong turn. Return to the loading dock office and wait 15 minutes before attempting another check. Do not radio dispatch. I read them 3 times. The building does not know your name. I felt cold that had nothing to do with October. I put the amendments back in the drawer and tried to focus. Just protocol, I told myself. Strange protocol, yes, but protocol nonetheless. Buildings didn't know anything. They didn't call names or count windows. But I counted the west side windows during my 10:30 perimeter check that night. 18 windows, same as always. The figure in the white coat appeared at 12:40. I didn't acknowledge it. At 2:30, while I was checking the south side of the building, I heard my name. Rachel. Soft. Almost gentle. From somewhere, inside, behind one of the darkened first-floor windows. I kept walking. Didn't respond, didn't look. Rachel, wait! I walked faster. Completed the circuit in 12 minutes, logged everything. 2:43 a.m. Name called from interior south side during perimeter check. Did not respond per Amendment 13. RHI radio dispatch at 2:45. Dispatch, Rachel, perimeter check complete. Amendment 13 was relevant. Copy, Rachel. Did you respond or investigate? Negative. Continued perimeter check. Good. Next check at 4:30. The space heater clanked. I pulled my jacket tighter. At 4:30, I counted 19 windows on the west side. I stopped halfway through my check, facing the building. Counted again, slowly, using my flashlight to mark each window frame. 19. I returned to the loading dock office immediately, locked the door, and radioed dispatch. Dispatch, Rachel. Amendment 14 is relevant. I counted 19 windows on the west side during 4:30 perimeter check. Copy, Rachel. Are you in the loading dock office? Affirmative. Remain there. Do not attempt another perimeter check. Monitor the alarm panel. We're sending someone to the property. Copy. I sat at the desk, watching the alarm panel. All lights green. 20 minutes later, headlights swept across the parking lot. A white pickup truck, same one Marcus had driven. But it wasn't Marcus who got out. It was a woman, maybe 60, wearing a heavy jacket and carrying a large flashlight. She knocked on the service entrance. I opened the door. Rachel? She said. Yes. I'm Patricia, dispatch supervisor. She stepped inside and looked around the office. You counted 19 windows on the west side? Yes, ma'am. What time? Started the check at 4:30, counted the windows maybe 4:38. She pulled a small notebook from her pocket and wrote something down. Did you complete the perimeter check? No. Amendment 14 says to return to the office and radio dispatch if the count is different. That's what I did. Good. She walked to the window and looked out at the building. I'm going to do a walk around. You stay here, keep the door locked. If I'm not back in 20 minutes, radio the main dispatch number and tell them Patricia needs backup at St. Jerome's. Is everything okay? She looked at me. You did the right thing following protocol. Just stay here. She left. I locked the door and watched her walk into the darkness, flashlight beam sweeping in front of her. 15 minutes later, she came back. 18 windows, she said. I counted twice. 18. I counted 19. I know, it happens sometimes. She sat down in the chair opposite the desk. Do you understand what this job really is, Rachel? Night security for a decommissioned building. Not exactly. She folded her hands on the desk. St. Jerome's has been empty for 3 years. In that time, we've had 9 guards. Some lasted 1 night. Some lasted months. You're doing well. You follow instructions. You don't panic. What am I really guarding against? Patricia was quiet for a moment. There are places that don't let go when they close. Buildings that held too much pain, too much death, too much desperation. St. Jerome's had 600 beds. It ran for 72 years. Do the math. You're saying it's haunted. I'm saying it's not empty. She stood up. The protocols aren't arbitrary. Every rule exists because someone learned the hard way. Your job is to maintain the boundaries, keep the interior contained, make sure nothing crosses over. Crosses over where? Outside, into the real world, into you. She walked to the door. The demo company starts work in 4 months. Until then, we keep watch. We follow protocols, we contain. What happens if I don't follow the protocols? You get lost, or changed, or you don't leave? She opened the door. Your shift ends in 90 minutes. No more perimeter checks tonight. Just sit here and wait for 6 a.m. I'll update dispatch. Tomorrow night, everything goes back to normal." She left. I sat alone in the office, listening to the space heater clank and the fluorescent lights hum. At 6:03, I locked up and went home. I called in sick the next night, and the night after that. On the third night, I went back. I needed the money. My daughter's tuition was due in 3 weeks. The cannery wasn't rehiring. Night security was the only job I could work around my other obligations, and part of me wanted to understand. I arrived at 9:58, locked the service entrance, logged my arrival. The amendments were still in the drawer. I read them again, memorizing the details. My first perimeter check was at 10:30. I counted windows on the west side, 18. The figure in the white coat appeared at 11:45. I didn't acknowledge it. At midnight, the ambulance bay doors rattled, right on schedule. I made sure I was on the far side of the building when it happened. The knocking came at 1:15. 3 raps, interior corridor, somewhere near the loading dock. I logged it. During my 2:30 check, I counted windows again. 18. The light appeared in the 7th window at 3 a.m. Yellow glow, same as always. I logged it and continued my circuit. At 4:30, I found items in the loading dock office that I hadn't brought. A sandwich, wrapped in clear plastic, sitting in the center of the desk. Turkey and cheese, from the look of it. Beside it, a can of ginger ale, unopened. Amendment 16. If you find food items in the loading dock office that you did not bring, do not touch them. Radio dispatch. I radioed immediately. Dispatch, Rachel. Amendment 16 is relevant. Food items appeared in the loading dock office while I was conducting my 4:30 perimeter check. Copy, Rachel. Describe the items. 1 sandwich wrapped in plastic, 1 can of ginger ale, both sitting on the desk. Do not touch them. Do not consume them. Move them to the floor in the corner farthest from your workstation using a piece of paper or other object. Do not make direct contact. I used the logbook to push the sandwich and can across the desk, then onto the floor. They slid into the corner near the alarm panel. I washed my hands in the small utility sink, even though I hadn't actually touched anything. Items moved per instructions, I radioed. Copy. Complete your shift as normal. The items will be removed during the day. At 6 a.m., the sandwich and ginger ale were gone. I didn't ask questions. By my 5th week, I knew the rhythms. The figure in the white coat appeared 3 nights out of 7, always between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. It walked the 2nd floor corridor, visible through the west side windows, always moving at the same steady pace. The light in the 7th window appeared 4 nights out of 7, always yellow, never green. It stayed on for 1 to 3 hours, then went dark. The knocking came every night, usually between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m., sometimes 3 raps, sometimes more. The pattern varied, but the protocol never did. Note it, don't investigate. The ambulance bay doors rattled between midnight and 3 a.m., always. I could set my watch by it. The north stairwell door opened twice more. I closed it both times, radio dispatch logged it. Windows stayed at 18 unless they didn't. When they became 19, I returned to the office and called it in. Patricia came out one more time. She counted 18. The next night, back to normal. I learned not to question. Just follow protocol. On November 8th, my 7th week, the emergency protocols arrived. They were clipped to the logbook when I arrived for my shift, a yellow sheet of paper typed text numbered 19 through 23. No note, no explanation. Emergency protocols. St. Jerome's Medical Center. These protocols are only active during severe weather events, power failures, or other situations where dispatch declares a code silver. Standard protocols remain in effect unless superseded by emergency protocols. 19. If dispatch declares code silver, complete your current perimeter check immediately and return to the loading dock office. Secure all doors and windows. Do not leave the office until code silver is lifted. 20. During code silver, conduct interior visual checks every 30 minutes using only the window facing the loading dock. Do not open the office door. If you see movement on the loading dock or in the parking lot, radio dispatch immediately. 21. If power fails during code silver, use your flashlight sparingly. Keep the office door locked. Do not attempt to restore power. Dispatch will send someone when it is safe. 22. If you hear sustained knocking on the office door during code silver, do not respond. Do not open the door. Radio dispatch and move to the corner farthest from the door. Wait for instructions. 23. If the alarm panel transitions to all red lights during code silver, this indicates a full breach. Radio dispatch immediately with code phrase Jerome open. Follow all instructions exactly. Do not deviate from dispatch guidance under any circumstances. I read them twice, feeling uneasy. Code silver. It sounded official, like real emergency protocol. But Protocol 19 through 23 had the same strange specificity as everything else, the same implication that something not quite normal might happen. I checked the weather forecast on my phone. Clear skies for the next 10 days. That night was routine. 4 perimeter checks, all clear. Some knocking around 1 a.m. The light in the 7th window from midnight to 2:30. No figures in white coats. I left at 6 a.m. and tried not to think about code silver. 3 nights later, dispatch declared it. The radio crackled at 11:22 p.m. All units, this is dispatch. Code silver is now in effect for St. Jerome's Medical Center. Rachel, acknowledge. I grabbed the radio. Your copy, dispatch. Code silver acknowledged. Complete your current perimeter check immediately and return to the loading dock office. Secure all doors and windows. Do not leave the office until code silver is lifted. Acknowledge. Copy, returning to office now. I was on the west side of the building halfway through my 12:30 check. I turned around and walked quickly back toward the loading dock, staying 15 feet from the building. The night was clear, no storm, no visible reason for code silver. I reached the office, locked the service entrance, checked the window latch, secured. I sat at the desk and radioed dispatch. Dispatch, Rachel, in loading dock office. All entry points secured. Copy, Rachel, remain in the office. Conduct visual checks every 30 minutes through the window only. Do not open the door. Report any movement immediately. Copy. I set a timer for 30 minutes and waited. The space heater clanked. The building was completely silent. No wind, no knocking, nothing. At 11:52, I moved to the window and looked out at the loading dock. Empty. The parking lot beyond was dark except for the distant street light. My truck sat alone in its usual spot. I returned to the desk and logged it. 11:52 p.m. code silver in effect. Visual check 1 loading dock clear. No movement observed. RH. At 12:22, I conducted my second visual check. The loading dock was still empty, but something was different. There was a wheelchair on the loading platform. It hadn't been there 30 minutes ago. I was certain. The platform had been completely empty, just stained concrete and the painted lines where delivery trucks used to park. Now a wheelchair sat in the center of the platform, facing the office window. Standard hospital wheelchair. Chrome frame, black vinyl seat and back. The footrests were folded up. I grabbed the radio. Dispatch Rachel, visual check 2 shows a wheelchair on the loading dock platform. Item was not present during previous check 30 minutes ago. Copy Rachel, do not investigate, do not open the door. Continue visual checks every 30 minutes. Copy. The wheelchair didn't move. I stared at it for 5 minutes, looking for any sign of how it got there. No person visible. No vehicles. The service entrance was locked from the inside. The only way onto the loading dock was from the parking lot, and I would have seen anyone approach. I logged it and moved away from the window. At 12:52, I conducted my third visual check. 2 wheelchairs now, both facing the window, the second one positioned maybe 8 feet to the left of the first. Same style, chrome and black vinyl. I radioed dispatch immediately. Dispatch Rachel, second wheelchair appeared on loading dock, both facing the office window. Copy Rachel, do not open the door, continue protocol. Is someone putting these here? Negative. Continue visual checks. Report any changes. At 1:22, 3 wheelchairs. At 1:52, 5. They formed a semicircle facing the window, each positioned precisely, all empty. I stopped looking between checks. The space heater seemed louder. My hands were shaking when I logged each entry. At 2:22, I forced myself back to the window. 7 wheelchairs. The semicircle was tighter now, closer to the window, maybe 20 feet away. And the middle wheelchair was occupied. A figure sat in it, slumped forward slightly. I couldn't see details. The parking lot lights didn't reach this far, just a dark shape, person-sized, motionless. I radioed dispatch, trying to keep my voice steady. Dispatch Rachel, 7 wheelchairs now present. The center wheelchair is occupied. I cannot identify the individual. Copy Rachel, do not attempt identification. Do not open the door. Has the figure moved? Negative, completely still. Continue visual checks. I moved to the corner of the office farthest from the window and sat on the floor. The alarm panel glowed green above me. All systems normal, no breaches detected. I waited, watching the clock on my phone. At 2:52, the knocking started, not from the interior corridors this time, from the service entrance door. 3 raps. Pause, 3 raps, pause. The pattern continued, steady and mechanical. Protocol 22, if you hear sustained knocking on the office door during code silver, do not respond. Do not open the door. Radio dispatch and move to the corner farthest from the door. I was already in the corner. I radioed dispatch. Dispatch, Rachel, sustained knocking on the office door. Protocol 22 is active. Copy, Rachel, do not respond to the knocking. Do not approach the door. Confirm your position. I'm in the corner farthest from the door. Stay there. Keep the radio with you. We're monitoring the alarm panel remotely. All lights remain green. The door is secure. The knocking continued. 3 raps, pause, 3 raps, pause. I counted 17 cycles before it stopped. Silence. I waited 5 minutes, then moved back to the window for my 3:22 visual check. 9 wheelchairs, all occupied now. 9 figures, all slumped forward, all facing the window. I couldn't see their faces, couldn't identify anything about them except their stillness. The loading dock lights suddenly flickered. Then they went out. Total darkness outside. The parking lot lights had gone dark too. My truck was invisible beyond the window. Inside the office, the fluorescent light stayed on. The alarm panel glowed green. I radioed dispatch. Dispatch, Rachel, all exterior lights just failed. Office lights still functional. Alarm panel shows green. Copy, Rachel. Do not leave the office. The building is on backup power. Exterior lights are on a separate system. Remain calm and continue protocol. At 3:52, I approached the window with my flashlight. I couldn't see the wheelchairs anymore. The darkness was complete, my flashlight beam only reaching maybe 30 feet. I swept it across the loading dock. Empty. The wheelchairs were gone, all 9 of them. I radioed dispatch. Wheelchairs are no longer visible. Cannot confirm if they're gone or just outside flashlight range. Copy, continue visual checks. At 4:22, the exterior lights came back on. The loading dock was empty. No wheelchairs, no figures, just concrete and painted lines. I logged it all, my handwriting shaky but legible. At 5 a.m., dispatch radioed. Rachel, this is dispatch. Code Silver is lifted. You are cleared to resume normal protocols. Conduct your 4:30 perimeter check as scheduled. Copy, dispatch. Code Silver lifted. I waited until 4:28, then unlocked the service entrance and stepped outside. The air was freezing. My breath came out in thick clouds. I walked clockwise around the building, 15 feet out, checking doors. Everything was secure. On the west side, I counted the windows. 18. The building was completely dark. No lights in any window. No figures in white coats. I completed the circuit in 11 minutes and returned to the office. At 6:04, I locked up and left. I sat in my truck for 10 minutes before starting the engine, staring at the loading dock platform. Nothing there. Just empty concrete in the gray dawn light. I took 2 nights off after Code Silver. Called in with a family emergency, which wasn't entirely a lie. My daughter needed help moving into a new apartment. I drove 3 hours to help her, grateful for the distraction. She asked how work was going. Fine, I said, quiet. You look tired, Mom. Night shifts. You know how it is. We carried boxes up 3 flights of stairs, assembled furniture, argued about where the couch should go. Normal problems, normal tasks. I didn't tell her about the wheelchairs. On November 20th, I went back. Marcus was waiting in the loading dock office when I arrived at 9:55. Rachel, he said. Dispatch wanted me to check in with you, make sure you're doing okay after Code Silver. I'm fine. You handled it well. Followed protocols exactly. Patricia was impressed. What were those wheelchairs? Marcus looked at me for a long moment. The building remembering. It held a lot of people over 72 years. Most of them came in sick. A lot of them never left. Sometimes it replays pieces of that, echoes. They were real. I saw them. They were real enough during Code Silver. But they can't leave the property. That's why we have protocols. Why we maintain boundaries. He stood up. The building is contained. As long as you follow the rules, you stay separate from what's inside. What happens during demolition when they tear it down? That's not your concern. Your job is to guard until spring, 4 more months. He left me alone. I conducted my perimeter checks that night without incident. Some knocking around midnight. The light in the 7th window appeared at 1 a.m. and stayed on until 3:30. I counted 18 windows every time. The next 2 weeks were routine. Then on December 6th, the pattern changed. I arrived at 9:53 to find a new document clipped to the logbook. Not amendments, not emergency protocols. The heading read, Containment Procedures Revised December 2024. 24 through 28. 5 new rules typed in the same format as everything else. 24. If you observe medical equipment, gurneys, wheelchairs, IV stands, or similar items on the property during non-code silver periods, do not approach within 50 feet. Note the location and quantity in the logbook. Radio dispatch. Do not attempt to remove or move the items. 25. Between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., check the alarm panel every 15 minutes. If any light transitions from green to yellow, not red, radio dispatch immediately with the panel number. Do not investigate the cause. 26. If during a perimeter check you hear conversation or voices from inside the building, stop walking. Count to 30. If the voices continue past 30 seconds, return to the loading dock office immediately and radio dispatch. Do not complete the perimeter check. 27. The figure in the white coat may now appear on multiple floors simultaneously. If you observe it in more than one location during a single perimeter check, return to the loading dock office and radio dispatch. Do not acknowledge any figure. 28. If you find your logbook entries altered or added to by handwriting that is not yours, photograph the entries with your phone. Radio dispatch immediately. Do not sign the logbook until dispatch provides clearance. I read them 3 times, feeling my stomach tighten. May now appear on multiple floors simultaneously. The language was different, not warnings about existing conditions. Descriptions of escalation. The building was changing. That night, I conducted my 10:30 perimeter check without incident. At midnight, the knocking started as usual. 3 raps, interior corridor, somewhere past the loading dock office. During my 12:30 check, I saw the figure in the white coat. It was on the 2nd floor, west side, visible through the windows. Walking left to right, the usual pattern, but when I rounded the corner to the south side of the building, I saw it again. Same figure, same white coat. Walking past the 3rd floor windows on the south side, moving at the same steady pace. 2 locations. Same time. Protocol 27. I returned to the loading dock office immediately and radio dispatch. Dispatch, Rachel, Protocol 27 is active. Figure in white coat observed simultaneously on 2nd floor west side and 3rd floor south side during 12:30 perimeter check. Copy, Rachel. Are you in the loading dock office? Affirmative. Remain there. Do not attempt another perimeter check until instructed. Monitor the alarm. Panel. Copy. I sat at the desk watching the panel, all green. At 1 a.m., dispatch radioed back. Rachel, you are cleared to resume perimeter checks at 2:30. Skip the 1:30 check. Acknowledge. Copy. Resuming checks at 2:30. I logged everything and waited. At 2:15, I checked the alarm panel per Protocol 25, all green. At 2:30, I started my perimeter check. The figure didn't appear. I counted 18 windows on every side. All doors secure. Back in the office at 2:43, I logged the check and settled in to wait for the next panel check at 2:45. The panel was still all green. At 3:15, one light turned yellow. Panel 7. 3rd floor corridor, north wing. I radioed dispatch immediately. Dispatch, Rachel, panel 7 transitioned to yellow at approximately 3:14 a.m. Copy, Rachel. Do not investigate. Monitor the panel. Report any additional changes. Copy. The yellow light stayed on for 12 minutes. At 3:26, it turned green again. I radioed the change. Dispatch acknowledged. The rest of the shift was quiet, but when I opened the logbook to write my final entry before leaving, I found something new. Below my 3 a.m. entry in handwriting that wasn't mine, someone had written, 3:17 a.m. north stairwell door open, propped with wheelchair. Patient wandering third floor did not intervene. DK. The ink was blue, slightly faded, as if it had been written days ago. I photographed it with my phone, then radioed dispatch. Dispatch Rachel, Protocol 28 is active. Found an entry in the logbook in handwriting that is not mine. Copy, Rachel. Do not sign the logbook. Send the photo to the dispatch email address. It's in the top desk drawer on a card. I found the card and emailed the photo. 3 minutes later, dispatch radioed back. Photo received, Rachel. You are cleared to complete your logbook entry. Sign and date as normal. The altered entry will be documented. Copy. Who is DK? A pause. Dennis Kowalski. He was the guard here 5 years ago. He's deceased. I felt cold spread through my chest. How long has that entry been there? Unknown. Complete your shift and go home, Rachel. You're doing fine. I signed the logbook with shaking hands and left at 6:07. I should have quit. The rational part of my brain knew that. Whatever was happening at St. Jerome's wasn't natural, wasn't safe, wasn't something I should keep exposing myself to for $18 an hour. But I needed the money. My daughter's spring tuition was due in January. I had $2,000 saved. I needed another $1,800, 6 more weeks of night shifts. I could make it 6 weeks. I went back on December 9th. The logbook entry from Dennis Kowalski was gone. The page showed only my entries in my handwriting, properly signed and dated. But I had the photo on my phone, proof that it had been there. That night was routine until 3:45 a.m. I was conducting my 4:30 perimeter check early, trying to get ahead of schedule. I was on the north side when I heard the voices, conversation. Multiple people, coming from inside the building somewhere near the maintenance entrance. I stopped walking. Protocol 26. If during a perimeter check you hear conversation or voices from inside the building, stop walking. Count to 30. If the voices continue past 30 seconds, return to the loading dock office immediately and radio dispatch. I counted. 1, 2, 3. The voices continued. I couldn't make out words, just the rhythm of conversation. At least 3 different people, maybe 4, 10, 11, 12. A laugh. Distinctly human, female voice, 20, 21, 22. The voices were getting louder, closer to the door. 28, 29, 30, still talking. I turned and walked quickly back toward the loading dock office. Not running, just fast, purposeful strides. Behind me, a door opened. The maintenance entrance. I heard the metal hinges creak. I didn't look back. Kept walking, counting my steps. 42 steps to the corner. 18 more to the service entrance. Footsteps behind me now. Multiple sets, walking at the same pace I was. I reached the service entrance, unlocked it, stepped inside and locked it behind me. Through the window I saw them. 4 figures in hospital gowns walking across the loading dock toward my truck. 3 women, 1 man, moving with slow, shuffling steps. They reached my truck and stopped, stood there facing away from me toward the parking lot. I radioed dispatch with my hand shaken so badly I nearly dropped the unit. Dispatch, Rachel. Protocol 26 active. Heard voices during perimeter check. 4 individuals in hospital gowns now on loading dock near my vehicle. Copy, Rachel. Are you in the loading dock office? Affirmative. Door locked. Do not leave the office. Do not attempt to engage. Are the individuals approaching the building? Negative. They're standing near my truck facing the parking lot. Motionless. Monitor them. Report any movement toward the building immediately. I watched through the window. The 4 figures stood motionless for 8 minutes. Then together they turned and walked back toward the building. They moved in formation, maintaining exact spacing. When they reached the maintenance entrance, they passed through the closed door, not opening it, through it. I radioed dispatch. The individuals just walked through the closed maintenance door. They did not open it. Copy, Rachel. Are they visible inside the building? I moved to the window that faced the interior corridor. Darkness beyond. No movement. Negative. Not visible. Resume normal protocols. Your 4:30 perimeter check is waived. Wait in the office until 6 a.m. Copy. I sat at the desk until dawn, watching both windows, logging everything in precise detail. At 6 a.m., I inspected my truck before getting in. No damage. No signs that anyone had touched it. But there were footprints in the frost on the loading dock. 4 sets leading from the maintenance entrance to where the figures had stood, then back. Bare feet. No shoes. I photographed them before they melted in the morning sun. December became January. The building was escalating. I felt it every shift. More lights on panels transitioning to yellow. More figures in white coats now appearing on all 6 floors. The knock-in came earlier each night, sometimes starting at 10:30 instead of 11. Medical equipment appeared regularly. Wheelchairs mostly, but also gurneys and IV stands. They showed up during non-code silver periods positioned around the building's perimeter. I logged each one, maintained 50 feet of distance, radioed dispatch. Every morning they were gone. The logbook entries from Dennis Kowalski appeared 3 more times. Always entries dated years ago. Always describing events that matched things I was experiencing now. Dispatch documented them but offered no explanation. On January 14th, Marcus came out again. 4 more weeks, he said. Demolition crew starts February 10th. You've done excellent work, Rachel. What happens on February 10th? Building comes down. Systematic demolition over 3 weeks. By March 1st, it'll be a cleared lot. And the things inside? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Demolition breaks the structure. Without the structure, there's nothing to contain them. They'll disperse. Disperse where? We don't know, but they won't be concentrated anymore, won't have a focal point. The theory is they'll fade. He looked at the building. 72 years is a long time to hold that much death. The building absorbed it, became a kind of battery. Once the battery is broken, the charge dissipates. You don't sound certain. Nobody's certain, but the county wants the land. Hospital's been closed 3 years. Time to move on. He left me with a bonus check, $200 cash. From the owner, for making it this far. That night I conducted my perimeter checks as usual. At 2:30 I found a gurney blocking the west side path. It sat directly in my walking route, positioned perpendicular to the building. Standard hospital gurney, metal frame, thin mattress, safety rails raised on both sides. A body lay on it covered with a white sheet. Protocol 24. Do not approach within 50 feet. I stopped, measured the distance with my eyes. I was maybe 30 feet away. I radioed dispatch. Dispatch Rachel, medical equipment on property during non-code silver period. One gurney with what appears to be a covered body west side blocking perimeter path. Copy, Rachel. Maintain 50 feet distance. Do not approach. Return to loading dock office and wait for instructions. I backed away slowly, not turning around until I'd put 60 feet between myself and the gurney. In the office, I watched through the corridor window. I couldn't see the gurney from here, but I could see the edge of the west side. 15 minutes later, dispatch radioed. Rachel, you are cleared to complete your 2:30 perimeter check via alternate route. Use the service road behind the building to bypass the west side. Maintain 100 feet from the building during bypass. Return to standard distance once you've cleared the obstruction. Copy. I went outside and walked the long way around, cutting through the back service road. I didn't look at the gurney as I passed, kept my eyes forward, counting steps. At 4:30, I conducted my next check. The gurney was gone. 3 more weeks. On February 2nd, the final protocols arrived. Not clipped to the logbook this time. Delivered by Patricia herself, who arrived at 10 p.m. with a sealed envelope. Demolition starts in 8 days, she said. These are terminal protocols, active for your remaining shifts. She handed me the envelope. Read them now. I'll answer questions. Inside, a single page, 5 rules. Terminal protocols, St. Jerome's Medical Center, active February 3rd through February 9th, 2025. 29. Equipment manifestations will increase. Maintain 100 feet distance from any medical equipment found on property. Do not attempt to photograph or document beyond logbook entries. 30. Between midnight and 4 a.m., interior lights will activate in multiple locations. Do not investigate. Do not enter the building under any circumstances, even if the alarm panel indicates a breach. Radio dispatch only. 31. You may observe crowds of figures on multiple floors simultaneously. Do not count them. Do not attempt to identify individuals. Continue perimeter checks at accelerated pace, target 8 minutes per circuit. 32. The north stairwell door will be found open during every shift. Do not close it. Maintain 100 feet distance from the north stairwell door at all times. 33. If you hear your name called in a voice you recognize, family member, friend, or dispatch, do not respond unless you can verify the source visually. The building has access to your memories now. Trust only what you can see. I read them twice. Access to my memories, I said. Patricia nodded. The building is pulling harder. You've been here 13 weeks. It knows you now. Knows what would make you stop following protocols. Why not just cancel the last week? Pull the guards off property? Because without containment, it spreads faster. Your presence maintains boundaries. 1 more week, Rachel, 7 more shifts, then it's over. What happens on February 10th, when demolition starts? Wrecking crew will clear the building. We'll have a different kind of security then. Armed guards, daylight-only operations, not your concern. She stood up. 7 more shifts. You can do this. She left. I sat alone in the office, staring at the terminal protocols. My first perimeter check was at 10:30. I found 6 wheelchairs scattered around the building. 3 gurneys, 2 IV stands, all positioned randomly, some upright, some tipped over. I maintained 100 feet distance from each one and completed the circuit in 13 minutes. At midnight, the interior lights started coming on. First floor, second floor, third floor. windows illuminating in sequence, casting yellow rectangles across the dead grass. I watched from the loading dock office window as the building lit up floor by floor until every window glowed. The alarm panel stayed green. I radioed dispatch. All interior lights active. Panel shows no breach. Copy, Rachel. Continue normal protocols. At 12:30, I conducted my perimeter check with the building blazing like it had been 3 years ago, fully operational, filled with patients and staff and the hum of medical equipment. But it was empty. I knew it was empty, except it wasn't. On the second floor, I saw them, dozens of figures moving through the corridors, walking slowly, purposefully. White coats, hospital gowns, scrubs, street clothes. I didn't count them, didn't try to identify anyone. Completed the circuit in 9 minutes. At 2:30, my daughter called me. I was inside the office, door locked, waiting to start my next perimeter check. My phone rang, her name on the screen. I answered. "Mom?" Her voice, exact match. The slight upturn at the end, the way she always checked if I was really paying attention. "Sweetheart, it's 2:30 in the morning. Are you okay?" "Mom, I'm at the hospital. There was an accident. I need you to come." My blood went cold. "What hospital? What happened?" "St. Jerome's, the old one. I'm on the 3rd floor, room 317. Please hurry." Protocol 33. I looked out the window at the building. Every floor still blazing with light. Figures moving through corridors on multiple levels. "Honey, St. Jerome's is closed. It's been closed for 3 years." "Mom, I'm here. Room 317, 3rd floor, please." Her voice broke, crying, not my daughter. "I have to go," I said. "Mom, please, I'm hurt." I hung up and powered off my phone. My hands were shaking. I radioed dispatch. "Dispatch, Rachel. Protocol 33 active. Received phone call imitating family member requesting I enter the building." "Copy, Rachel. Did you comply?" "Negative. Ended call. Phone is now powered off." "Good. Keep it off for the remainder of your shift." I sat at the desk trying to calm my breathing. It wasn't her. It wasn't her. The building had access to my memories. At 4:30, I forced myself outside for my final perimeter check. The lights were still on, the figures still moving. But now some of them were at the windows, pressing against the glass, looking out. Looking at me. I kept walking, 8 minutes exactly. When I got back to the office, I found the logbook open to a new page. More entries from Dennis Kowalski, 6 of them dated across different years, all describing the same thing I was experiencing. Terminal protocols, the building lighting up, figures at windows, phone calls from dead relatives. His last entry read, February 9th, 2020, 5:47 a.m. Final shift complete. Building contained. Demolition scheduled. I think I got out clean. DK below it in different handwriting, recent ink, no one gets out clean. MT, I didn't radio dispatch about this one. Just closed the logbook and waited for 6 a.m. 6 more shifts. Each night the building grew brighter. More lights, more figures. Equipment appeared in greater quantities. I maintained distance, completed perimeter checks in under 9 minutes. Radioed dispatch at every interval. My phone stayed off. I told my daughter I'd call her during daylight hours only. Made up an excuse about the night shift interfering with the phone's signal. On February 5th, I found the north stairwell door wide open, light spilling out from inside. Protocol 32. Do not close it. Maintain 100 feet distance. I gave it 120 feet and completed my circuit. On February 6th, I heard my ex-husband's voice calling from inside the building. On February 7th, my mother's voice. She'd been dead 2 years. I didn't respond to any of them. On February 8th, my final night, I arrived at 9:55 to find Marcus and Patricia both waiting in the office. "Last shift," Patricia said. "We're here to observe, make sure everything stays contained through the transition." Transition? "Demolition crew arrives at 7 a.m. tomorrow. We need to maintain security until they're on site and the building is officially transferred to the contractor." Marcus handed me the radio. "Standard protocols. We'll be here in the office. You conduct your perimeter checks as usual." I looked at both of them. What happened to Dennis Kowalski? Patricia and Marcus exchanged glances. "Heart attack," Patricia said. 3 weeks after his last shift here, he was 41. The logbook entries. "We know. We've seen them." Patricia sat down at the desk. "Do your job, Rachel. 5 more hours, then you're done." I went outside at 10:30. The building was ablaze, every window glowing. I could see hundreds of figures now moving through every floor, crowds pressing against windows watching me walk. Equipment everywhere, wheelchairs, gurneys, IV stands, portable X-ray machines, crash carts. All scattered across the grounds like someone had emptied the entire hospital inventory onto the lawn. I maintained 100 feet distance and completed my circuit in 7 minutes. At midnight, all the interior lights went dark simultaneously. Total blackness in every window. Then one by one flashlights began appearing inside, moving through corridors, sweeping across walls, dozens of them like a search party looking for something. Looking for me. I completed my 12:30 check in 6 minutes. At 2:30, the main lobby doors opened, both sets. The chains fell away, the padlocks hitting the concrete with metallic clangs I could hear from 15 feet away. The doors swung inward, revealing darkness beyond. I radioed dispatch immediately. "Main lobby doors opened. Chains and padlocks have fallen off. Doors standing open." Patricia's voice came through the radio. "Copy, Rachel. Do not investigate. Do not approach. Complete your perimeter check and return to the office." I walked past the open doors, keeping my distance, not looking inside. At 4:30, I conducted my final check. The building was dark again, silent. The equipment was gone from the grounds. The lobby doors were closed and chained. Everything looked exactly as it had on my first night, 13 weeks ago. I completed the circuit in 11 minutes and returned to the office. Marcus and Patricia were standing by the window, watching the building. "Clean transition," Marcus said, looking at his watch. 5:52 a.m. demolition crew will be here in 68 minutes. "Is it over?" I asked. "Your part is," Patricia said. She handed me an envelope. "Final payment plus bonus. You did excellent work, Rachel." I opened the envelope. $3,000 cash. "That's more than we agreed. Hazard pay for the last 2 weeks. Patricia picked up the logbook and flipped to the last page. "Sign out, then you're done." I wrote my final entry. February 9th, 6:00 a.m. Final shift complete. All protocols followed. Property secured for demolition crew. Rachel Hensley. I signed it and put the pen down. "What happens now?" I asked. "We wait for the demolition crew. They'll be here at 7. We'll brief them on basic safety protocols. They'll start with the interior, stripping fixtures and wiring. Building comes down over 3 weeks." "And the things inside?" Marcus looked at the building. "We'll see." I left at 6:15, driving away as the sky turned gray with dawn. I didn't go back. My daughter's tuition was paid. I found a day job at a hardware store, restocking shelves and running register. Normal work, fluorescent lights and customer complaints and inventory counts. I tried not to think about St. Jerome's, but on March 2nd I saw the news. Demolition halted at former hospital site after worker deaths. 2 men from the wrecking crew, both experienced demolition specialists. They'd been working the interior of the 3rd floor when something happened. The article didn't specify what, just said they'd been found dead, no signs of trauma, no apparent cause. The project was suspended pending investigation. I called Patricia's number, disconnected. Called the dispatch number from the business card, out of service. Marcus's number went straight to voicemail. I drove out to St. Jerome's 3 days later. The building was still standing, intact. The demolition equipment sat idle in the parking lot. Yellow caution tape surrounded the property, but no workers were present. I parked at the county road and looked at it through my windshield. 6 stories of brick and dark windows, exactly as it had been. My phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. Rachel, Marcus's voice. You shouldn't be here. What happened? The building didn't want to come down. When they tried to breach the interior walls, it defended itself. Defended how? You don't need to know. Go home. This isn't your job anymore. Is it contained? A long pause. We're working on it, new protocols, new guards. It's not your concern. Marcus, he hung up. I sat in my truck staring at the building. As I watched, a light came on in a 3rd floor window. 7th from the south end west side. Yellow glow, steady and constant. Then another light. 2nd floor, then the 1st floor. One by one, windows began illuminating across all 6 floors. I started my truck and drove away. That was 4 months ago. The building is still standing. The demolition project was officially abandoned in April. The county condemned the property and sealed it with new fencing, but they haven't tried to tear it down again. I drive past sometimes on my way to other places. The lights are off and on. Last week I saw a job posting online. Night security guard for a decommissioned hospital. $18 an hour, cash weekly. The posting included a list of protocols, 12 rules, numbered and specific. Different building, different city, same patterns. I didn't apply, but someone will. Someone who needs the money badly enough to ignore the strange rules. Someone who will follow protocols precisely, maintaining boundaries they don't fully understand. Someone who'll learn what I learned. Some buildings don't let go, and the ones that hold on hardest are the ones that held the most. I still have the protocols. All 33 of them, plus the terminal rules. They're in a folder in my closet, filed away with my final payment stub and the photos I took of the logbook entries that weren't mine. Sometimes late at night I hear knocking. 3 raps. Pause. 3 raps. It's just my apartment settling. Just the building making noise. I tell myself that. But I count the knocks anyway. And I log them in a notebook I keep beside my bed using the same format I learned at St. Jerome's. Date, time, location, observations, just in case. Just in case the protocols weren't just about keeping things contained in the building, just in case some of it followed me home.